Hello and welcome to this short video lecture about proposals. The course learning outcomes targeted in this lesson include: analyze diverse audience, context, and purposes to choose the most effective message structure, format, content, language, tone, and medium for the situation. Design business documents conforming to AODA requirements and standard formatting conventions. Compose and adapt content and structure of correspondence and business reports using accurate, concise, inclusive, coherent, and audience-centered language to suit a variety of purposes. Upon completion of this module, students will be able to describe the purpose of proposals, list differences between solicited and unsolicited proposals, choose the appropriate format for a proposal based on audience, memo, letter, or booklet. Identify the components of the structure and content of proposals, and identify and use the components of page design for formatting memo and letter proposals. So, what is a proposal? What is it for? A proposal is a document that proposes to solve a problem, whether through a plan, a product or product line, or a service or service line. Remember that proposals also propose your company or team's involvement in this project, as it is your company or team that will do the work to solve the problem. So proposals, of course, need to identify the solution, but they also need to explain why your team is best for this job. There are two types of proposals to consider: solicited and unsolicited. A solicited proposal is one that has been requested, so it's expected by the reader. As an example, consider a fashion retail company that needs a new building to sell new products. A fashion retail company is not full of experts on construction projects, so this company will send out a request for proposals, or RFP, asking architects to submit ideas, submit proposals for the new building. Remember that these architects are in competition with each other to get this job. Each architect will outline how they would meet the client's requirements for the building design, the budget, and the timeline. And they would also outline why they are the best team for this job. An unsolicited proposal is a little bit different. It's not expected. This is when you identify that a company has a problem that needs solving, and you propose to solve that problem, again, through a plan of action, a product, or a service. In an unsolicited proposal, you often need to convince the reader that they have a problem that is worth solving, not only that your team is the best team for the job. An example of this might be, in the workplace, you notice that your company's computers are not protected by antivirus software, or perhaps they're protected by inadequate antivirus software. Your proposal to your IT manager would need to highlight the risks of being unprotected or inadequately protected, as well as proposing to solve this problem through a specific product, antivirus product, or antivirus service. Because proposals can be written for external readers or internal readers, they follow the same format as other workplace reports and correspondence. If they are reasonably short and informal, they will follow letter format for external readers and memo format for internal readers. A longer proposal would take a booklet format, regardless of whether the reader is internal or external. It's only the transmittal letter or memo that changes for the audience at that point. Here is an example of how to format a proposal as a memo for an internal reader or as a letter for an external reader. What you will notice is that the memo and letter format remain largely the same, but the proposal contents are simply slotted in where the message content would go in any other form of workplace correspondence. Proposals are typically multi-section documents, as we will see in a moment when we review the content sections. However, this has formatting implications. It means that you will need to consider things like using headings to define the sections of your document. This means we need to consider which font face we use, the size of the font, how we create emphasis. You might also need to consider whether numbered or bulleted lists should be included in your proposal. Many proposals include visuals and diagrams to help explain the project that they are proposing. Also consider how you use headers and footers to help your reader navigate the document, and white space or negative space to make your document a little more accessible and easy to navigate. Finally, let's examine the message structure for proposals. Proposals begin with an opening. In this case, we label that section Introduction. The introduction summarizes the proposed plan, product, or service. It will also often convince the reader that there is an unmet need, especially if it is an unsolicited proposal and the reader doesn't yet know that they have a problem that needs to be solved. Remember that the point of the structural section that we call opening is to speak to the purpose of the document, and that's what the introduction does here by summarizing the proposed solution to the problem. The background section provides context to help the reader understand the situation. So it answers the question, what is the problem? What is the general situation that has led to this proposal? What problem needs to be solved? Next, we have a project description. This is the beginning of our details section. Remember that the details section of any message provides the reader with the facts and information that they need to take action and to make decisions. So all of the details associated with your proposed solution to your reader's problem need to be outlined in these following sections, beginning with the project description. This section provides an outline of your solution to the problem in detail. You should break down exactly what you plan to do as part of this project and identify anticipated results. The next section, supporting material and team credentials, also falls under the structural umbrella of details. This section persuades your reader that you are well equipped, both with respect to materials and your qualifications, to complete the proposed project. It should identify any material resources that you plan to use and confirm that you have access to those material resources. And it should identify who is on your team, what their expertise is, what their credentials are, and what they each bring to the project to show that your team is really the best team for the job. Next, the supporting arguments show that the plan is feasible and identify benefits of the proposed plan. This is really crucial for any proposal. Always focus on the benefit to the reader. The final section that falls under the umbrella of details is the budget. Remember that the budget relates not only to the cost breakdown for the plan in financial terms, but also the timeline for the project. How long will it take to implement this plan, to purchase and train users on a new product, or to implement a new service? Lastly, the authorization section of a proposal is the closing. Remember that a closing always includes an action request, and in this situation, you are going to persuasively request authorization to implement your proposed plan, product, or service. This concludes our lesson on the structure and content of proposals in the workplace. Please return to the online module for more details and activities.